Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this public hearing to order, please. Before we get started on the public hearing, I do have a statement that I want to read on behalf of the two bylaws that we will be hearing tonight. We are hearing from bylaw number 2953 and 2954. So the statement is two, the public hearing is being convened pursuant to section 464 of the Local Government Act to consider an amendment to zoning bylaw number 2503 20,002. Zoning amendment bylaw number 2953 and zoning amendment bylaw number 2954, if adopted, would change the zoning for the properties at 1589 4th Avenue and 1168 Columbia Avenue from large, 1168 Columbia Avenue.
Just 67.
Okay. Columbia Avenue from large lot residential zone R1 to large lot residential zone R1A to allow for short-term rental accommodation to be operated on these properties. At this hearing, any person who believes that his or her interest is affected by the proposed bylaws shall be given the opportunity to be heard on matters contained in the bylaw. No one should feel discouraged to speak, nor will any person be prevented from making their views known. However, it is important that all who speak at this hearing restrict their remarks to matters contained in the bylaw. It is my responsibility as chair of this meeting to ensure that all remarks are so restricted. Those who wish to speak concerning the proposed bylaws should address council by clearly stating their name and municipality of residence, and thereafter proceed to provide their views concerning the proposed bylaws. Members of council may, if they wish, ask questions following your presentation. Please note that the main function of council members this evening is to listen to the views of the public. Please remember that it is not the function of council at this hearing to debate the merits of the proposed bylaws with individual citizens or with each other. Regardless of whether you favor or oppose a particular application or argument, please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion, as these will not be tolerated. Restraint enables all views to be heard in an impartial form as possible. I will remind council that you are prevented by law from hearing any further submissions on the proposed bylaw amendment once the public hearing is closed. Thank you for your patience and cooperations. Now let us proceed with the hearing. Okay, so confirmation of statutory notice requirements bylaw 2953.
Thank you, Chair, through to council and people in the gallery. Bylaw 2953 was advertised in the local paper, the Trail Times, on May 1st and 8th as per regulation, and also direct mail out within 50 meters to each residence in that area.
Okay, thank you. The proponent presentation for bylaw 2953.
I'm going to excuse myself for this.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hanson.
You could read out the address, so they know which one we're talking about.
I did, but I will again. It's bylaw 2953.
The street address.
1589.
Oh, sorry, 1589 4th Avenue. Is there anyone to speak to that?
You're asking for the proponents.
I know the proponent is the applicant.
Oh.
So
You
Ida?
want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay, hi, sorry. Don't know all the words.
I didn't know I, so welcome to the club.
So my name is Ida Pedrosa and I live in Maple Ridge. So I'm not a resident of Trail, but my husband was born and raised in Trail. And so when we got married, actually long before we were married, we were coming to Trail quite frequently. Many of our friends live here and their families are firmly established in Trail. So as we started to have kids, our visits increased as our kids also began to love trail and the community and their friends here. And I apologize if I get emotional, but my husband passed away in 2020. And so in a time where everything in our life was changing drastically, it became very apparent to me the importance of becoming tethered to trail, a place that was very important to my husband. My in-laws still live in Glenmary. And so I made the decision to purchase a little rundown house in East Trail. And I poured my heart and soul into fixing it up. And it has, as I hoped, become very important in the healing of me and my children. And I am hesitant to even say all this because I have never wanted to use my husband's death as a way to manipulate or change people's opinion of things. But the truth of the matter is that this home has actually just been a very, very important part for my kids and myself. And just practically a way of maintaining the home and keeping it going is having used it for an Airbnb for the last 3.5 years. I take that role quite serious and do my utmost to do that well. And as much as in the same ways, I should say, as we have loved having this home, it has been a real pleasure to witness and get the feedback from the many people who have stayed in the house. I know I've watched other council meetings because this matter is quite important to me. So I've been trying to watch all the previous meetings. So I know that it's been discussed about the long-term or the short-term nursing, but just so you guys are aware, it's much more than that. There is lots of people visit family members who don't have homes big enough to accommodate them, and to get the feedback that they enjoy, that they can be in the backyard, visit together, have dinner, have people over. When we come and we play board games, I can see on the scorecards what people have been playing. We get a couple weeks ago, I had someone trying out for the Smokies, and that was a family that valued having space for their teenager and being able to cook meals. Lots of weddings and reunions and graduations, and it just goes on and on and on. And I hope that you guys can see the value of that, not just for me and my kids, but also I believe for trail and the community, and that people do love coming here. And I think that's it.
Great, thank you. Is there any correspondence? Have we received any correspondence on this item?
Through the chair, we have not received any correspondence.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that wants to speak on this bylaw 2953?
My name's Jan Hollett, and I border one of those, the property. And as much as that sounds lovely and if everything went that way, that would be wonderful. I have several concerns. My immediate concerns are safety. It sounds like wonderful people have been in there, but I'm guessing that there is no vetting process for who does that. I live alone in my place, and I'm concerned for my safety, for those of my grandchildren, for those of the children in the neighborhood, and we have a daycare 1 block away. So those are my safety concerns, because we don't know necessarily what people are renting, and it is an established neighborhood, and we have had our share of absent landlords, property owners, just in rental homes. And it's taken a number of years to get drugs out of them. And recently we had a full-on SWAT maneuver. So it's concerning to bring in more people unfamiliar to the neighborhood. There is potential of, noise and disruption, parties, depending on, you know, who's in it and what they're there for. There's possibilities of a houseload of contractors because the contractor rents it and then puts 4 or 5 people in for short-term rental for shutdowns or whatever. I have had witnessed on one occasion for more than a week where garbage and bins were left in the back alley. And who cleans that up? And we get seasonal bears and we have resident raccoons in the neighborhood and cats and dogs and it attracts them. And who cleans up that mess after it's all done? Parking in established neighborhoods, even though there's no assigned parking, people kind of work out there where they park. And when people are unfamiliar to a neighborhood, it causes disruption in that regard. If guests were disruptive, what's a real-time solution for dealing with it? Perhaps RCMP, but they're paid guests, are they taken from the premises? How does that look? Just another one of my concerns. Longer term concerns would be, once a property has been deemed an income property, it potentially increases in value. That increases the values of the properties in the neighborhood. For those of us who aren't ready to sell, that increases our taxes. So that's a real concern that could happen along the way. Sorry, I'll finish shaking soon. All the time I sit down. And often I've heard it raised about the availability of housing in Trail. How does using homes for short-term rentals lend itself to that solution? I don't have an answer for it, but just a question. Okay, I think I've probably covered everything.
That's everything.
Is there a chance to ask questions to the chair?
Just to, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
we're getting our Councillor Cashel. Is there anybody else from the public that wants to speak on this 2953? Okay, go ahead.
Kyle Hawkins, I live 2 houses away from the house. First of all, like, you did do a really good job fixing it up, it looks really nice there. My main concern is, for the last 2 summers, we've had random kids who were staying there, just come into our yard and start jumping off our trampoline and stuff like that, without us knowing about it or anything like that, and it's just mainly concern for our family, just these random kids and stuff coming in. And then the other thing was looking at the map that was sent. Right, I was just wondering, like, all the ones that have like R1 on here, are those already like established, like B&Bs and stuff like that, or what is that one exactly?
R1 is the zoning for the neighborhood,
Okay. So the whole,
and
everything is
the request is to change to an
Okay, I was
R1A.
just curious
So
about that.
that particular property has special designation.
Right, okay. Yeah, it was just mainly just worried about people just coming over and stuff like that. Just worried, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to present from the public on this 2953? No? Okay, now's your opportunity, Councillor Cashel, to ask questions to staff or to the proponent.
Thank you to the chair. So just to confirm, with you, Ms. Pedrosa, it's been an Airbnb for 3.5 years.
Yes,
And upstairs, do you have a tenant upstairs?
no, the whole house
The whole house is the Airbnb?
Yeah.
I'm just looking on here, there is a requirement for parking. How many bedrooms in total?
So there's two bedrooms. So currently I only have one off-street parking, but if that was required, I would convert a part of the back to another.
Okay,
I did take pictures of the street. So across from me is a very high retaining wall, and there's 3 homes there that don't even access their front doors from the street, because it's so high, they can't even access unless you go all the way around to the end. So, I mean, I would hate, I mean, I hate if anything that I'm doing is upsetting anyone, and to the best of my ability, I've tried to avoid that, but I feel that parking, because there are no other tenants. I know street parking doesn't belong to a home, but there is the space in front of my home and then the whole space
So
across.
you could dedicate another parking.
Yeah, I
spot.
could definitely dedicate
Now,
another
you,
parking.
you live where you?
I live in Maple Ridge.
Do you have somebody local that can take care of, who's your property manager, or who has been your property manager for the last 2 years?
Yes, so there's a couple different things. So our very best friends live on the same street. So they're the ones, that I contact them. We have a lot of friends, so I don't have a designated property manager. But there are, many people that I can call upon when there is something who, but primarily if there was something in immediate time, it would be the friends who live on the same
In the
street.
past 3.5 years, can you recall approximately how many incidents you would have had that would say involved police or involved noise bylaw infractions?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Okay, hold on, Counselor Cashel, I'm just gonna see if anybody else has any questions. Counselor Benson, go ahead.
Can I address the garbage issue? So, I know that, so before, the garbage was picked up in the back alley, and so, now we just leave it in when I'm there, I put the little stickers on, but normally we just leave it in the garage, and then people come, like our friend comes and takes it to the dump for me. So, I know, so when people, cause I have a cleaner, so my friend is cleaning, so she, has, like, if there was an issue where something, cause not everyone follows the instructions. So I think when the garbage was in the alley, more than people thought they were helpful by putting it out. And so I hope that that's now less of an issue if it was, because no one's putting garbage out. But yeah, sorry, that was.
Okay, thank you. I, Counselor Benson, and
yeah.
then I'll get you, Counselor Benson.
Just from,
Actually, you go.
are you sure?
Yeah, no, I answered it.
Just a clarification maybe from staff, because it talks about using, what's the definition of secondary suite?
A secondary suite is a separate suite. So she's not asking for a secondary suite. She only has the one house
Okay.
that she uses for when they come to visit, but when they're not here is when they use it for the Airbnb.
Okay,
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Counselor
thanks.
Wilson, are you sure you don't wanna?
It was the short-term legislation that changed, but I can answer it myself, I just gonna
Okay,
look it up. It's
thank
all
Yeah,
good.
so trail currently, yeah,
That's what it's, all right.
Yeah.
we're into the 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
and I also, yeah.
that's all good.
So you have more questions?
Well, I just wanted to,
Okay.
direct the question if we
Yeah.
can to Ms. Pollitt, if that's possible.
Mhm.
Hi, Janet, so what's your exact address, Janet, in reference to,
Oh,
well,
sorry,
okay,
sorry.
but in proximity, I'd like to get an idea of where she's living in terms of proximity to
Across the alley.
the applicant. Across the alley, okay, thank you. And you've lived there for at least 2.5 years?
Yeah.
So in that time zone,
36.
how many complaints have you had, like, have you filed with any bylaw or police regarding this property?
I have not filed any.
Have you had any?
Counselor Cashel, I don't
Cashel,
know.
I'm
if this
sorry, the question
questioning
should
is
be directed to the
appropriate.
proponent. Not. to
Okay,
the
we're all
actual
learning as we
people.
go here, but I'm
Representation.
trying to ascertain, she talks
Yes.
about safety, and I think it's important that we look and take a deeper dive into that safety aspect, like what's your grounds for being concerned about safety? So that was why I was directing those questions.
Okay,
Yeah,
in that
understood.
regard.
thank you. Yeah. Is there any other questions from council?
All right,
I'm not trying to scare you off, but yeah, I'm just trying to follow the procedure here.
absolutely, Mary Jo.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to move on to the next bylaw. And it's bylaw, go ahead, Councilor.
I need to recuse myself for.
Oh, okay,
conflict of
yes,
interest on
thank
this
you.
one.
So
If you
this
guys
is-
want to
Excuse
stay or
myself.
go. Yeah, you guys don't have to stay, right?
Sorry?
Do they have to stay or?
No,
can
they do
go?
not.
No, you can go if you like. We're just moving on to the next bylaw and then we'll complete it together at the
Out of
end.
10 years, is it about okay,
Okay.
it's about the same as a rezoning? Oh, okay, I'll just like to hear it.
Okay, so this is the bylaw number 2954 and the address is 1167 Columbia Avenue. Okay, so I'll pass it over to Ms. Butler.
Thank you. Through the chair, this is confirmation of the statutory notice of requirements. So the notice was posted in the Trail Times on May 1st and 8th. And notices were also sent out within 50 meters of the residents to all residents in that area.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone of the,
Sorry, and then confirmation of, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at, I've got the 2 letters that I do need to read.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I was going, that was.
yes, that's next.
So is there any identification of
We
correspondence?
need the proponents.
We need a proponent's presentation next. I jumped on the agenda, sorry, your
Okay.
worship.
Good evening,
Go ahead.
Mayor Jones,
Good
Councilman and women. My name is Josh Bryden. I was born and raised in the area, but moved away for work with plans to return full-time one day. I'm here tonight in regards to my application for rezoning 1167 Columbia Ave. I've been operating the lower level suite as a short-term rental for close to 18 months. I have a 3 guest maximum. And there is a screening process. People with good reviews can auto book, but if they don't have good reviews, then it's up to me to screen people. And it seems to work fairly well. But most often I'm rented to a single guest. More often than not, that guest is a hospital worker or patient or visiting family. So they have usually 1 car. I think negative impacts on the neighborhood have been small, if any. Increases in traffic on Columbia Ave are not noticeable. Parking on the street is plentiful, and only when there is a big event at Gyro does it get busier. And parking will be added to the backyard to lessen the impact of the suite. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any correspondence that has been received in relation to this bylaw?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, we have received 2 emails. The first one is from Deb Woods, and it reads, I'm emailing my opinion on the bylaw change for the above stated address, which is stated as 1167 Columbia Avenue. I am fine with them doing short-term rental with their property. That was our first email response. And then the second one is from Connie Benson, and she writes, I am writing to share my thoughts on the proposed rezoning of the property at 1167 Columbia Avenue to allow for short-term rentals. While I understand the potential benefits of this change, I have some concerns regarding the parking situation that I'd like to discuss. The front of the property at 1167 Columbia Avenue has a fire hydrant, which restricts parking spaces in that area. Additionally, the current layout and use of the property would make it challenging for the property owner to provide the necessary off-street parking space in the rear without significant alterations, as there are currently no visible off-street parking spots, only a fence and a yard area. Is there a plan to create parking? I am open to the rezoning if the property owner can provide the necessary parking spaces in the rear of the house. The on-street parking is already quite busy due to the property's proximity to Gyro Park, making it essential to address parking concerns to maintain the quality of life and safety in our community. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I appreciate your consideration. Sincerely, Connie Benson.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Butler. Is there anybody in the public, from the public that wants to speak on this bylaw? Bylaw 2954. No, okay. Council, do you have any questions to staff or the proponent on this bylaw? Councillor Cashaw.
I'm scared. My question is, you did mention in your narrative, thank you for that, that you plan to put parking in. Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more and what your commitment is to that, and what your timeline is on that? To develop 2 dedicated parking spaces off street.
Yeah, currently, there's there's the alley, right, and then there's a fence. So the fence needs to come down, be moved back, and I gotta talk to bylaw about exact dimensions. Cause it's possible to park, I prefer to go parallel. It saves more backyard, but I don't know if it'll be enough space, it's 37 feet, I don't know if that's been the allowed allotment for 2 slots. So, but it's possible to go diagonal or whatever.
And you have an upstairs tenant?
I do, they take care of cleaning and the yard.
And who's your property manager? Are they the property manager for the Airbnb?
I'm more of the manager of the Airbnb, but they take care of the cleaning and the yard, the upkeep of the house. For exchange for a lower rent.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
That's everything, thank you. Okay, so, if there's no one else that wants to speak on this, then I will, ask if there is anyone to speak on either of the bylaws for the first time. Second time, anyone to speak to either of the bylaws? And for the third and last time, I'll ask, is there anyone that would like to speak to either of the bylaws?
Speaking to the bylaws, is that understanding the process by which this decision will be made?
I think, go ahead.
No, this is, if in favor or against, we can talk about the process after if you'd like.
Okay, so I don't remember if I said I'm opposed to it. Just in case I forgot that part.
Okay, thank you. So I see no one that wants to speak to these bylaws, so I will close the public hearing at this time. Yeah, that's it, it's closed.
Yeah, so the public hearing is closed and now what will happen is at our next council meeting. Or we're bringing these forward tonight
Potentially for 3rd reading.
for 3rd reading. Okay, so tonight we will be bringing them forward for 3rd reading, but then we have to wait for approval from the ministry before adoption. So if they, and then it'll be back on the agenda for the May 26th meeting. So not approval until May 26th.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight.
You.
Presenting. Thank you so much.